welcome back to 360 Sports Network. I'm James Dotson, here to break down the 2011-2012 bowl games in college football. Now, over the next couple of days, I will be breaking down each and every bowl game and picking a winner for all 35 games. Now, you might not like what you hear, but that's okay. If you don't agree with our picks, just leave us a comment, send us a tweet, and tell us why we're wrong. Or, better yet, fill out the winners to the bowl games on our website, 360sportsnetwork.com. The BCS Bowl Challenge link is right there at the top. Fill it out, see how you compare to us. But, with all that being said, let's get right into the fun, shall we? In this first podcast, we're going to look at the bowl games taking place before New Year's Day. So let's just start right in with the 2 o'clock game on Saturday, December 17th. That's the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl between Temple and Wyoming. Now, both of these teams have quietly posted 8-4 records. Great records. Temple's played well enough. They should have upset Penn State earlier this year, but they just fell short. Wyoming's freshman quarterback Brett Smith has had a great year, but now he has to try to face Temple's third-ranked scoring defense. And that's why I'm picking Temple in this game, and the 3SN team is all in unison in here. We're all picking Temple to win that one. The second game we have is the famous Idaho Potato Bowl between Ohio and Utah State. The Aggies of Utah State have won 5 straight games, but their margin of victory is only 18 points. Ohio has to try to shut down the Aggies' great rushing attack, 6th-ranked rushing attack with Robert Turbin out there. But the thing is, Ohio is all about the pass, and I think their passing offense will be just enough that they will edge out the victory in here over Utah State. The third game we have is the R+L Carriers New Mexico Bowl between San Diego State and Louisiana Lafayette. Aztecs running back Ronnie Hillman is ranked 3rd in the nation in running, averaging 138 rushing yards per game. The Ragin' Cajuns are making their first postseason appearance in 41 years, so you got to think against them. But they're playing at home, essentially, in New Orleans in the Superdome. So I'm going to go with the Ragin' Cajuns in this one, but I'm very much the minority there. The next game is the Beef O'Brady St. Petersburg Bowl. This is between Florida International and Marshall. We all are going with Florida International. Both teams have serious quarterback issues. Both teams rank in the bottom thirds of the country in scoring. It's not going to be a great game, but we're all going to go with FIU. We think they're just a little bit ahead of their opponent. The next bowl game we have is the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl. I don't know how they come up with these names. San Diego County Credit Union, whatever. This is TCU versus Louisiana Tech. TCU's 9th-ranked scoring offense is BCS Bowl worthy. I mean, the Bulldogs score a lot too, but they can't hang with TCU. I think this is going to be a blowout. There's not much cause for concern here. The next game, similar story. The Mako Las Vegas Bowl. Arizona State versus Boise State. Boise should be in a BCS. Instead, they're playing in a bowl against a 6-6 team. So, easy selection for Kellen Moore and his 41 touchdowns. This is a revenge game for the Broncos for sure. Next is the Sheraton Hawai'i Bowl between Nevada and Southern Mississippi. In this one, we got Golden Eagles quarterback Austin Davis. He's actually broken many of Brett Favre's school records down there in Southern Miss this year. And he's leading that offense against Nevada's strong 9th-ranked ground attack. And they're running my favorite, the pistol offense. This is going to be a high-scoring game. Look at the yards per game for these two teams. Nevada at 522 a game, Southern Miss at 471 a game. Going to be a fun game to watch. We're all putting our eggs on the Southern Mississippi basket, but you know what? This could be a tough one. I can easily see Nevada pulling off the upset with the pistol formation down there. Next, we have the Independence Bowl between the Missouri Tigers and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now, Missouri has the stronger defense in this game, and that's why we figure that Missouri's going to come out on top. They have a top 12 team in total yards, too, and they also have the momentum. 3 straight wins where the Tar Heels have lost 4 of their last 6. Now moving to the Little Caesars Bowl. Western Michigan at 7-5, taking on the 6-6 Boilermakers. Western Michigan's All-American wideout Jordan White leads the nation in both receptions and yards, and he's also caught 16 touchdowns this year. They're the 8th best passing attack in the country. The question is, how will they fare against a Big Ten defense, though? Can they still put up those kind of numbers? I personally believe that they will. Purdue was nothing special this year, so I have Western Michigan coming out on top, but this is a bit of a toss-up. I can justify either way on this one. Moving on to the Belk Bowl between Louisville and North Carolina State. This is probably going to be one of the lowest scoring games in the bowls this year, besides maybe the national championship game. Neither team is ranked high in any offensive category, and it's probably going to be a defensive play that will be the difference. I'm actually got my pick for Louisville here. I think the Big East is underrated in terms of what their defenses can do in big situations. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals here. Again, not confidently, I guess, but this is if you're doing a confidence bowl pick 'em, you want this one really low on your scale. Let's move to the Military Bowl between the Air Force Falcons and the Toledo Rockets. This is going to be an interesting matchup because you have Toledo's balanced high-octane offense, but you have Air Force's second-ranked ground game, running the split V, the option, whatever you want to call it. They're averaging 320 yards on the ground per game. And you know what? The best defense against that great Toledo offense might be the ability for the Falcons to just keep the Toledo Rockets off of the field. And I think they can do that. I like that rushing game out there, so I'm going to go with the upset with Air Force here. But I'm definitely seeming to be alone in this pick, as my colleagues seem to like Toledo a bit more. But I like Air Force. I got to go with the ground game here. Bridgepoint Education Holiday Bowl. This is a game between Cal and Texas. Two mediocre 7-5 teams here. The Bears were playing well down the stretch, but I think Texas with the McCoy and Shipley Part 2 come out on top in that game pretty easily. I think a couple touchdown advantage actually. Next, Champ Sports Bowl between Florida State and Notre Dame. Notre Dame's coach Brian Kelly has to choose which quarterback he wants to go with. He's had Tommy Rees all year, but Andrew Hendricks came in against Stanford for the last game of the year. So who knows who they'll pick, especially against the Seminoles' fourth-ranked scoring defense. And you know what? Both of these teams are very turnover prone, and I think whichever team makes the big defensive play will end up winning this game. We're all back and forth in picking this game. I'm going to go with the Irish. Honestly, this is a pick 'em for a reason. Go ahead and go with your gut in this one. My gut says that the Irish, maybe Monte Teo, will make a big play on defense to seal the win. Next one, probably the easiest one out of all of them to pick. Valero Alamo Bowl between Washington and Baylor. This is probably Robert Griffin's last game for Baylor, who boasts the second most total yards in the country. How do the Huskies stand a chance? I mean, they're ranked 116th out of 120 FBS schools in passing defense. Honestly, this game could be ugly, and it could quickly turn into just a scouting report and a show-off game for the pros for Robert Griffin. So look for a big Baylor victory here. Next, the Bell Helicopter Armed Forces Bowl between BYU and Tulsa. This is a very evenly matched game. Tulsa runs the ball well. They have two running backs at 850 yards each on the ground, but BYU is balanced on offense too, and they have a very strong defense, especially, though, against the run. That's why I have the Cougars winning this one. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I can easily see Tulsa being picked with good reason. But I gotta go with BYU on account of their defense this year. Next, the New Era Pinstripe Bowl up in Yankee Stadium between Iowa State and Rutgers. We're all on Iowa State in this one. Since Iowa State inserted their freshman quarterback Jaron Barnett in late October, the Cyclones have taken off, including busting the BCS hopes for Oklahoma State. The big story here, though, I think is going to be the quality coaches and Paul Rhodes and Greg Schiano, who can have the better game plan, and I think Rhodes will end up getting the best here. The Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl. That's a tongue twister and a half for you. Mississippi State versus Wake Forest, two very marginal 6-6 teams. The Bulldogs are all about their running back Vic Ballard, while Wake Forest moves the ball through the air mainly from Tanner Price to Chris Givens. The question is, how will the SEC defense of the Bulldogs, can they shut down the Demon Deacons? We're all in agreement that it's an SEC defense. They're going to shut them down. We're all for Mississippi State. Next, the Insight Bowl, Iowa versus Oklahoma. This is a going to be an ugly game as well. We're all on 9-3 Sooners. We think that they're going to take control of Iowa pretty handily. I mean, Oklahoma's ranked 14th in the country, and Iowa's just not impressive this year. The only question, though, is that Landry Jones, since losing his favorite target, Ryan Broyles, who's actually the NCAA all-time receptions leader, the quarterback Jones has only been he hasn't even been decent. He's had 0 touchdowns and 5 interceptions since then. So I'm watching actually for Marvin McNutt to take over this game for Iowa. I think that this could be a very close game in the end, but I still think Oklahoma pulls it out. There's too much talent down there. But keep your eye on this game. If you want a big upset that you want to put some money on, don't be afraid to put some money on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Next, the Meineke Car Care Bowl of Texas. Texas A&M versus Northwestern. Another, home game it seems for some of these Florida and Texas teams, but that's what happens. But this game is going to be a shootout, to say the least. Two very suspect defense against two of the nation's most exciting and fun-to-watch quarterbacks. I love the Wildcats' Dan Persa. He's worked his way back to a full-time starting status after battling the injury bug early. And Ryan Tannehill for A&M has thrown for 28 touchdowns this year. This is definitely a pickup game for a reason. I got my money on Northwestern, and my colleagues, I think, are sticking more with A&M because they're playing at home. But this is going to be a fun game to watch, one of the most exciting pre-New Year's games in my book. For two 6-6 teams, that's pretty impressive to say. The Hyundai Sun Bowl, Georgia Tech versus Utah. I love Georgia Tech's triple option offense. It's always a force to be reckoned with. They rank 17th in total yards. Utah ranks 110th. No matchup here. We're all for Georgia Tech. We're all for Cincinnati too in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. They're taking on Vanderbilt. Cincinnati is 9-3, and they're somehow still an underdog against 6-6 Vanderbilt. And I think it's only because that's Big East versus SEC. The thing is, Vanderbilt's losses all came in conference, and really, most of the time, it wasn't even close. If you can't win in your conference, even if it's the SEC, there's something wrong. The Kraft Fight Hunger Bowl between the Illinois Fighting Illini and UCLA Bruins. This is the more likely the Kraft Fight Hunger I Lost My Job Bowl, as both teams are working with interim head coaches. It's actually odd, too, because UCLA is coming in with a losing record after losing the Pac-12 championship game. Both these teams look even on paper. I give Illinois' defense the edge, and I think it's just enough to give the Illini the victory. And we're all in agreement. We all say the Illini are going to be the victors in this game. And then finally, our last game, the Chick-fil-A Bowl between Virginia and Auburn. Auburn looks to be an easy pick here, but they're actually without suspended running back Michael Dyer, and that made things be a bit difficult for this team. And you know what? When Auburn loses, they do lose big, and they should have lost at the beginning of the year. Honestly, Auburn has not impressed me all year, even with their big-time upsets over Mississippi State, who was number 16 at the time, South Carolina number 10. And Virginia looks solid down the stretch, minus their blowout loss against Virginia Tech. Their defense might be just enough to contain Auburn since they are without Michael Dyer. That being said, I'm still picking Auburn. Just a little bit too much. My gut just still says I gotta take Auburn in this one, though it's very easy to go for Virginia, and you know what? A couple of days from now, that choice may very much be changing. Well, that wraps up the pre-New Year's bowl games. Again, if you have any comments, if you think that we're just out of our mind with our picks, please, we love to hear from you. Tell us why you're wrong, why we are wrong. Leave us a comment, send us a tweet, and again, fill out the bowl game winners on our website, 360sportsnetwork.com. BCS Bowl Challenge link right there at the top. I'm James Dotson for 360 Sports Network. Everybody, enjoy 35 great college football games. Good night.